Have you ever felt like you're pushing as hard as you can in one direction, but your life just keeps, veering off course? Like there's some kind of invisible force pulling you back. Well, what if that force isn't coming from the outside? What if it's an old script that's just running on a loop inside your own mind? Today, we're going to dive in and learn how to find, and more importantly, rewrite the hidden beliefs that are secretly shaping your reality. Okay, so this simple idea is really the foundation for everything we're about to cover. The concept is that your repeated thoughts, they aren't just these random passing clouds in your mind. They actually have real creative power. They directly influence how you feel, how you act, and ultimately the results you see in your life. And that's the big question, isn't it? If our thoughts are the blueprint, why doesn't the building always match the plan we have in our head? Why is there so often this huge gap between what we consciously want and what we're actually experiencing day to day? Well, the answer lies a little bit deeper than just our surface-level thoughts. To figure this out, we've got a pretty clear roadmap. First, we'll look at the mind's hidden programs. Then, we'll get into how to uncover your specific beliefs. After that, we'll walk through a 4-step rewrite process. And finally, we'll cover how to install new, empowering beliefs so that they actually stick. So let's get right into it. The easiest way to think about this is to imagine your mind is like a computer. It's got an operating system, and on that system, it's running all sorts of programs in the background, many of which you never, ever consciously chose or installed. And this is where you see the real power dynamic. Your conscious mind, that's like the captain of the ship. It's setting the destination, right? It's saying, I want a promotion, or I want to be healthier. But your subconscious mind, that's the autopilot, and it's running the ship about 95% of the time, based on its old, stored programs. So if that programming conflicts with the captain's orders, which one do you think is going to win? Yeah, the autopilot, almost every time. So if our subconscious autopilot is really the one running the show, then we've got to ask the most important question. What scripts, what programs is it actually using? This is where we get into the whole idea of limiting beliefs. Now, a limiting belief isn't a fact. That's the first thing you have to get. It's just an idea you've accepted as true a lot of times without even realizing it. It's an unexamined assumption that became part of your internal rulebook, and now it just quietly restricts your actions and what you think is possible for yourself. So where does all this stuff come from? Well, we basically absorb it from everything around us, especially when we're young. We pick them up from our family, our culture, teachers, the media, and of course, our own past experiences. Every time we hear something or experience something over and over, our brain strengthens these little pathways. And over time, those repeated messages become our default settings. They become hardwired beliefs that just run on automatic. Beliefs like, I am not good enough, or money just doesn't stay with me. Gosh, do any of those sound a little familiar? These are perfect examples of old programs. They're incredibly common scripts that can sabotage our efforts with our careers, our finances, our self-worth, and we often don't even have a clue they're there. So just take a second here and think about it for yourself. Where do you feel that recurring friction in your own life? Is it with money? Is it your career path? Relationships? Maybe it's about getting recognition for the work you do. Often the area where you feel the most stuck is the exact place where a limiting belief is running the show from behind the scenes. Here's a really simple tool to start finding your own script. I'm just going to read a few prompts. All you have to do is notice what your mind immediately offers up as the answer. Ready? I am. What came up? I always. How about people are? That very first gut reaction. That's often the voice of your subconscious program talking. Okay, so you started to maybe identify some of the old programs. Now for the most important part. The fun part. How do we perform a mental upgrade? How do we actually go in and rewrite the code? This is where we get into a really clear, actionable process. The process has 4 key steps. First, you've got to identify the belief, which we just started doing. Second, you trace its origin. Just getting curious about where it came from starts to rob it of its automatic power. Third, you disprove it by actively looking for any evidence, no matter how small, that it isn't 100% true. And finally, you install a new empowering belief to consciously take its place. And this is so crucial. Just choosing a new belief, that's not enough. You have to consciously and consistently work to install that new program until it becomes the new autopilot setting. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like.
Here is that switch in action. You take the old, restrictive program, something like money does not stay with me, and you reframe it into an expansive, empowering one, like my money stays and grows with me. You're literally giving your subconscious a new, better command to follow. Here are a few more examples of these reframed beliefs, or what people often call affirmations. Now, notice something about all of them. They're stated in the present tense, as if they are already true. This is absolutely key to programming the subconscious because it really only operates in the now.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. What happens when you try to see something like, I am prosperous, and your brain immediately screams, no, you're not. Are you kidding me? Look at your bank account. This is a super common roadblock. When the new belief feels way too far away from your current reality, you need a bridge to get there. And here it is. This is the bridge. It's just two simple but incredibly powerful words. I am willing. This phrase, it just softens the resistance. It doesn't claim that something is true yet, but it signals your openness and your intention to your subconscious mind. And that is a massive first step. See how this works? Instead of trying to force a belief that just feels like a lie, you start with this gentle opening. I am willing to receive recognition. I am willing to be open to love. This is a statement that almost anyone can agree with, and it starts to gently steer the ship in a whole new direction. So, how did that old limiting belief get so deeply ingrained in your mind in the first place? It was through endless repetition. And guess what? That is the exact same tool we use to install the new one. The path in is the path out. It's as simple as that. So here's your action plan. This is how you put repetition into practice. Start a little notepad, just to capture these thoughts. Write down the old belief right next to the new one you're choosing. Then repeat your new affirmations every single day. Read them out loud, that engages more of your senses, and post them where you'll see them constantly. You are literally creating a brand new environment for your mind to live in. All right, let's bring this all together. The core message here is that if you want true, lasting change, it almost always requires us to become aware of the hidden programs we're running and then make the choice to consciously and deliberately rewrite them. Because this is the ultimate payoff. It's a chain reaction. When you successfully change that underlying belief, you start to change the automatic pattern. When you change the pattern, you change your behavior. And when you change your behavior, you inevitably, absolutely change the results you get in your life. So the real takeaway here is a call to action. Right now, as you're listening to this, an old program is running on autopilot. That's a given. But now you know you have the tools to access the code. So the only question left is, what new, more empowering program will you choose to write for yourself starting today?